My name's Patrick Kelly with Appledore Research, and I thought I would take a few minutes before we bring on our first speaker and cover some of the things that we see going on in the marketplace today. Probably more importantly, what's changed from the last year since we were all together in The Hague. Last year I think there was a lot of discussion around VNF onboarding, to some extent network orchestration in a multi-domain environment. I think this year one of the things that we're looking at is much more engagement and dialogue with operators around the use of AI and analytics to help close the loop. So the diagram that I'm showing you is a representation, if you will, of two stacks. And most of you that have been in the industry for a long time, you're well aware of the terminology around service fulfillment and service assurance. Really, if we look at what's happening on the right, there's been a lot of activity in the marketplace around VNF management, to some extent domain, and when I say domain, more of the technology domain orchestration. As I said, last year we saw more discussion and more activity in the network orchestration area. And I think from a service orchestrator perspective, even though the name gets bantered around and widely used, we don't see a whole lot of evidence that on an end-to-end service that orchestration's actually being deployed today in operators' environments. There are solutions being developed, but they're not widely deployed. On the other side of the equation, if you will, is the ability, if we think about closed-loop systems, the ability to actually ingest real-time data at very high rates of speed. A lot of telemetry data we're talking about in some operators' environments, you may be looking at billions of events being ingested. And the ability to actually deduplication, process that data, put it into some sort of data structure, if you will, or data management, and then apply some sort of analytics. And I have here machine learning, both supervised and unsupervised. I think this is uncharted territory, but certainly an area that a lot of operators are investigating. And quite frankly, we're seeing solutions start to appear in the marketplace. And I want to put more of the emphasis in this session more on the understanding side of the equation. Let me break that down for you. So if we look at the multi-layer stack on the assure side, if you will, or the understanding side, you have, as I said, a lot of data coming in. These are high volume telemetry data from either the network or many different systems in the operator's environment. That data gets enriched and cleaned so you can interface with other outside systems. That could be, if for example you're interested in service impact or customer impact, there could be other back office systems that provide a data feed in. And then you're doing some sort of data management to effectively apply a learning algorithm or some sort of, if it's in operations, root cause analysis to the data set that you've already collected. The area that's we think is more interesting is the machine learning area that gets you closer to closed loop automation. When I talk about machine learning, these are algorithms that get utilized utilizing domain expertise through what either the operator knows or working with their partners. And in some cases, designing the right sort of models, if you will, or algorithms that take that data from the domain expertise and apply it so that you actually can generate an action. And the idea behind the action is it's just simply a trigger to the orchestration system. It could be a trigger to a lower level SDN controller, it could be to a policy controller, but at some point a decision's made and that trigger causes an action which then, from an orchestration point of view, reconfigures the infrastructure or scales up more services or in some cases may reroute network links. The interesting thing about machine learning is effectively you get huge advances in not only the rates of data that you can process, but you're also improving the accuracy of that data. So if we look at the best operators in the world and what they're doing, and that have tremendous amount of resources and skill sets available, they're only going to achieve a certain level of accuracy. And what's interesting as we kind of look to the future, particularly around advanced analytics and machine learning, is the ability to process this data very rapidly and increase the percent of accuracy on everything in the operations chain, inclusive of things like customer impact, service impact, et cetera. And that'll actually improve based on the data set. So if you have a medium data set, theoretically you should go beyond your advanced experts within the organization. As you apply larger and larger data sets, you should improve the overall quality. This is things that we've seen in other industries. This isn't pie in the sky. This has been proven out in other enterprise sectors where they're actually applying machine learning and getting these sort of results. The other thing I want to say is that we can't just take algorithms or rely on data scientists in this new world. Domain expertise is still going to be a critical aspect to bring to the table. And this is all the knowledge and experience that's been gained perhaps over decades of experience. I think we need to look for proper use cases, test those use cases out, and then always improve on the algorithm, if you will, or the ML library as we get more insights or we learn. The final thing that I'll say is, as a market researcher and an industry analyst, the things that we look at in the marketplace to determine whether or not we're hitting some of these benchmarks or milestones is to look at things both from a business point of view as well as what we see in terms of deployments with operators. So if you look at base metrics around improving mean time to repair, those are very relevant data in most operations centers, network operations centers, service operations centers. On the customer care side, obviously it's improving customer sat. One of the metrics is improving NPS score. So using hard metrics as a result of some of the deployments and implementations that get put forward. And then finally, in some other areas, marketing promotion, if you're looking at proof points, increased conversion rates in offer to order, in the area of fraud, identifying fraudulent transactions much faster. So those are just some examples of some of the things that we would be looking for in the industry as we make this journey. And I would say to you that we're still early on, although we're seeing some signs that both from operators as well as what we see on the supplier side, that there is movement in this area around advanced analytics and machine learning.